You might be ruining your life right now without even realizing it. Let me tell you a quick story about the Chinese farmer. So there is this dad and this son, and the dad is quite old and frail. And so the son takes care of their land. And one day, the son is out harvesting the land with their horse because their horse is what they need in order to continue to harvest the land. Without the horse, they don't have anything. Without the son, they don't have anything. So the two of them are what they rely on to put food on the table, money in the bank, and essentially keep them alive with a roof over their head and food inside their body. And so this one day, the son was out in the field cropping the land, and all of a sudden the horse ran away. And so the son runs back to the dad. Dad, the horse ran away. What are we going to do? We're going to be poor. We're going to lose everything. We're going to be homeless and we're going to die. And all of a sudden, the dad said, yeah, maybe. And not to mention, the community heard about this and said, wow, you have the worst luck. And so the next day, the son is out in the field trying to do what he can without his horse to still keep the crops going and so that they could still continue to keep afloat. And then all of a sudden, the son sees out in the distance a group of stallion and wild horses along with their horse running towards him. And he's like, oh my God, that's incredible. So he opens up the gate, allows the wild horses to come in, and all of a sudden, he thinks that he's rich. He runs to his dad. Dad, you'll never guess what happened. A bunch of wild stallions comes in. We're rich. This is incredible. Isn't it so amazing, Dad? And the dad said, yeah, maybe. And then the community, of course, heard about it because it's a small community. And so they're like, oh my God, you're rich. This is amazing. This is the best news ever. And so the son was like, well, now I need to tame these wild horses so that I can put them to work and domesticate them. So the next day he starts getting to work. He jumped on one of the horses, and because these horses are from the wild, the horse jumped up and the kid fell off and he broke his leg. And then all of a sudden, of course, he goes to Dad, what are we going to do? I can't work. I have a broken leg. This is the worst thing in the world. We're doomed. We're going to die. Of course, catastrophizing. And the dad said, yeah, maybe. And then, of course, the community heard about it and said, oh my gosh, you have the worst luck ever. And so, of course, the dad was like, yeah, maybe. And so the next day, a bunch of horses with army people, police officers, or whatever you want to call them in back in the day, they roll up on their horses or gallop on their horses, and they go to call this old man's son to war. Well, then they look down at his leg and notice that his leg is broken. And he looks at the son and says, you're no use to us. You're no good with a broken leg. We can't take you to war. You'll have to stay here. And they gallop off. And he looks at his dad. And you just know what he's about to say. He's like, Dad, I was just saved. What a miracle. And his dad said, yeah, maybe. And of course, the town made a big deal about it. Oh my God, you were saved. This is the workings of God. What a miracle. And not once did the man attach any sort of meaning of good or bad to the situation. But everyone else around them did. So there's many parts of this story that you can choose to take on and believe and apply in your own life and choose to create your own perspective around it. But this is mine. Number one is to not be so fast to attach meaning to a situation when you don't know what the biggest purpose of it is. And even if you think you know, do you really know? Because after those wild horses could have came in, he could have said, oh my gosh, we're the luckiest people in the world. But then events continued on and on and on. We don't actually know the ending of this story. We only know once the man has passed away what the ultimate highest purpose of his life was. So there's ultimately no good and bad, no right or wrong. It's just maybe. And to learn how to live a life of true surrender and curiosity. And yes, be curious about what the meaning could be of these things in your life, and at the same time be open to alternative perspectives. And also, for the sake of the community, which could mean the people in your life, your family, random people on social media, your previous conditioning from society, they could say, your business idea is bad. You shouldn't do that. Let's say you're in a 9-to-5 job right now, and you have this safe, secure, of an illusion job. Maybe you have a pension and benefits and a 9-to-5, and you get paid to go on vacation and have a couple sick days a year. And to everybody else, that is the best thing on planet Earth. But maybe on the inside, you don't feel so much like that's the best thing in the world, because on the inside, you're dying, but on the outside, it looks like you have everything. So you might be listening to everybody's opinions of whether it's good or bad. And all of a sudden, you have this great idea to start a business. You have a choice in that moment. You can listen to everybody else and their opinions about what is right and wrong and good and bad, or you can choose to keep this in mind. If I have this idea and this desire within me, wouldn't it mean that I am equipped by God or a higher power, that I also have the tools and the wherewithal and the abilities and capabilities to follow through on it to completion, or to whatever level of completion that I'm supposed to? See, we're all put on this planet for a purpose. And sadly, a lot of people go their entire life without ever fulfilling or knowing what their purpose is, because they're constantly denying themselves of their desires because they're listening to everybody else outside of them. And so this old man, he didn't have everything, but what he did have was a perspective that he allowed himself to sit back on the sidelines, and instead of rushing to judge a situation, he simply said and replied with, maybe. Maybe this could be good. Maybe this could be bad, but it doesn't really matter because I don't yet have enough information to build a conclusion around this one single event. Not to mention, people are building conclusions about events based on their own subconscious programming. So everything that they have collected in their life, they are now filtering. They're deleting, distorting, and generalizing information that comes in. They're comparing it to what they already believe. And then they are building conclusion based on their own internal programming about what something means. So unless you value and like the person that you're receiving this information from, and you think that they have good values, you think that what they have in their life is something that you would also like to have, you think that the mindset that they have and the belief systems that they have is also something that you want to emulate in your life, then sure, listen to what they have to say, because their internal guiding system is one that you also have shared value with. On the other hand, if you're taking in advice from people that you don't want to be anything like, they have never done the things that you want to do in your life, and quite frankly, you're not quite satisfied with the output that they have in their life, whether it be mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, in their career, it doesn't really matter. Why would you listen to what they have to say just because they're older than you? I think age should be completely disqualified from this equation because it doesn't matter. And so if you can use this teaching, this story, as a way to slow down in your life before you deem something to be good or bad or right or wrong, to instead take a step back and say, I don't have all the information I need in this moment to build a full conclusion of whether it's good or bad, right or wrong. I'll tell you a quick story that I heard from Trent Shelton. He did a phenomenal job when he shared his story on the stage at Tony Robbins UPW virtually, I believe it was March 2026. And he's going on and he's sharing this amazing story. Of course, we're all so moved, we're crying. And he's talking about a story how he just lost his mother. And for most people in the world, that would be devastating. And not only 2 weeks later, and I could be getting the time frame wrong, but that's beside the point, he's getting ready to prepare his mother's funeral. And all he hears outside is someone yelling his name. He's like, what is going on? And all of a sudden, he sees his little girl laying there on the ground, on the pavement, simply a silhouette of her body, just laying there. And she has a gash in her head because the neighbor was mowing his lawn, and a rock got stuck in the spindles of the lawn mower and shot out and hit his girl on the head. And that made her to fall and collapse. And immediately someone called 911 and they rushed her to the hospital, and she's in the ICU. And anyone would think, why, God, don't take my daughter too. You just took my mother. Please do not take my daughter. What are you doing? I can't handle this. This is the worst thing in the world. And for a moment, he did feel that way. And also, Trent has gone through his own spiritual journey long enough to know that there might be something more to it. And so he took a moment and he stepped back. He's like, I trust whatever your plan is here, God. I trust you. Please just don't take my little girl. As any parent would do. It doesn't matter how spiritual you are, connected to God you are, you still don't want your child to die. It doesn't matter what the lesson is in it. So afterwards, the doctor goes to him, to Trent, and he says, this rock saved your daughter's life. He's like, how could a rock save her life? It almost killed her. And the doctor points to a spot on the CT scan and says, your daughter has a mass in her brain. And if she didn't get hit by this rock, we would have never found it, and she would have died because it would have gone undetected. The rock saved her life. If that doesn't move you, I don't know what will. There's so many stories I have about similar situations of people that I've been blessed to have conversations with. And I imagine that you listening right now, you also either have experienced something like this or you know someone in your life that has. So please drop in the comments a story that you have heard so that we can move people to know that you often don't have enough information to build a conclusion on a single event. And also realizing that events are not events, it's what you choose to make it mean. Nothing has a meaning until you assign a meaning. And if you have a faulty system, if you haven't done the internal work within yourself, something that I do as a master practitioner, master neuro-linguistic programming practitioner, NLP for short, and a hypnotist, that's what I help people do, is I reprogram their inner mind and body and nervous system, their subconscious mind, so that as they are creating meanings that now they're not creating it from a faulty past because we've cleaned it up. This story moves me because it just goes to show how powerful taking a step back and not rushing to create meaning can be in your life. Most people are reacting to what's happening in their life and they think they know what something means. And then that meaning that they create right away without even having enough information to know, it creates anxiety and fear and overthinking and self-doubt. Something that I absolutely love the most about working with the people that I get to work with is I get to hear their internal dialogue in real time. Without them they oftentimes don't even realize what they're saying. And I said, oh, did you just realize what you just said? And they're like, no, what did I say? It's like, oh, wow, okay. And that's not an oh, wow, out of judgment. That's, oh, wow, your life is never going to be the same after this, because the information that you told me, it might just be a sentence to you, but to me, as a trained professional, I know that that is a deep belief that is driving all of your behaviors, often rooted in a belief that you are not worthy or capable of the things that you desire, which often is love, success, abundance, feeling happiness and joy. So I'd love to hear from you. What did you get out of this story? What is a perspective that you have? And will you share this story with someone else so that you never forget it? I'm Cass Henry. I'm a transformation coach. I help people change their life by helping them change the way that they see their life by doing the internal rewiring that's required in order to do that. We don't rely on willpower here, or force, or shame. We clear out what's holding you back so that you can live a life of peace, happiness, and fulfillment. If you haven't already, go ahead and click the subscribe button. I post a video every single week on top of a weekly podcast episode on the Transform Your Life podcast. If you found value in this, let me know. And if there's anything specifically that you would like to learn about on this channel, drop it in the comments and I will absolutely create that for you. Sending you so much love and gratitude, and we'll see you next time. Bye.